Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hi everybody, welcome to Game Over Calgary. I'm Ruby Zummack and I'm here with Anand here right now. He's also a part of Game Over Calgary. And we're going to talk about the Calgary-Washington game today held at the Saddle Dome. The Washington Capitals won 3-1 tonight, unfortunately. But we do have lots to talk about in terms of Calgary's play tonight and how some of the events kind of came down, especially with having a few returning players and hometown players here back tonight in the Saddle Dome. So how are you doing today?
Hi, Ruby. I'm doing good. Unfortunate loss for the Calgary Flames. I think they played decently well, but an unfortunate loss, especially top team in the league. Calgary Flames made a couple mistakes. We'll talk about that soon as well. But I think, an unfortunate loss. Usually they're great at home ice, but hopefully they can improve next game around.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like first we're going to dive in for the first period here. Just talking about some of Calgary's plays tonight and how they kind of performed, especially as we know Ovechkin was in the Saddle Dome tonight and he was gearing up to try and work towards breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record. So obviously tonight Ovechkin did not get any goals against Calgary. So how do you feel that Calgary played in terms of kind of taking a role in maybe preventing Ovechkin from getting a goal on Calgary to work towards this goal tonight?
The main part, I think, who played a role is Dustin Wolf. I think he stopped like 4 shots when Alex Ovechkin was going over through the net. That name is a little hard for me to pronounce, so bear with me. But Dustin Wolf, he was amazing again yet tonight. He would have loved a couple goals back, especially that last breakaway goal. He would have loved to have it back, but I think he was the main reason that Ovi couldn't get one in tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we've talked about Dustin Wolf so much over the span of Game Over Calgary this year, being quite the successful rookie that he is. And I feel like tonight was another example of just how well of a goalie he is, being able to hold off a team that well, such as Washington Capitals, being number one in the league right now. I feel like it is amazing that for the majority of the game, Dustin Wolf didn't let in goals by Washington and really held them off when it came down to whatever breakaways or close shots on the net. He seemed to get a few glove saves in there and was, like we know, very quick in the net, very athletic. He is small, definitely a lot smaller than Logan Thompson, who is quite the conversation that we will compare to later on in the show. But yeah, Logan Thompson is definitely bigger in net, harder to get past, while Dustin Wolf is almost the opposite, where he's small and athletic and fast. So I feel like in terms of Calgary's play tonight, we really saw them performing well defensively, definitely on top of what Dustin Wolf was doing. We saw a few nice attempts, I feel, by Weegar. We know that he's been doing well the last few nights, at not only defending when the puck is in his zone, but also attempting to get shots on net when he is in the offensive zone as well. So how do you feel like in terms of Calgary's defense tonight, how they performed?
Yeah, especially with Kevin Ball missing from the group. He is injured right now. I think he's soon to come back. I think there is positive progress on that. But with the mix of pairings right now, I think they were a little, disconjuncted or having trouble finding the chemistry together. Especially that first goal, maybe you could slightly blame it on Uyghur. I think that turnover costed that 1-0 goal. But I think Tyson Barrie, who didn't play an NHL game since November 12th, had a fantastic night tonight. He's almost hit the post, made it 2-2 the game, but that was something he missed, and he had a couple shots as well. So kudos to Tyson Barrie. He also got that assist on the, what was it, who scored again? Blake Coleman on the power play. So Tyson Barrie was amazing in that regard. Pahal got a penalty. I think he was quiet decently. And then Jake Bean also made some key saves. So I think they were missing Kevin Ball a little bit. And then, of course, Anderson with it mocking Tom Wilson towards the end. That was a little funny. So I think they did decent, but it could have been better, I think.
Yeah, I think, overall, it's really hard to just completely prevent goals from a team like Washington. I know that they definitely were probably happy with having the home ice advantage. I know that Dustin Wolf does perform a lot better when he's on home ice, so I feel like that was quite the good reason to have him in net tonight. And then looking back on Sunday's game, I know that that's when Bean came back to the lineup with Ball's disappearance. And I know Anderson, I think, is playing with Hanley right now. And it's definitely a lot of mix-up with the defense pairings right now that I feel like, regardless of what has happened to the lineup, they have been performing decently well and enough to only let 3 goals in from Washington tonight. Obviously, we would have wanted to see more goals from Calgary, but it is very hard against a team like Washington. I don't know if you have anything else to add about Calgary's gameplay tonight, or kind of like the strategies you think they went into?
No, I think they gave the fourth line a refreshing look. So that's Lomberg, Bishop, and what do you call Klapka. Didn't like Klapka's play as much tonight. He drew a penalty in the defensive zone, and not so much of a fan of Klapka. We'll see what comes Thursday. Voice changes. I wonder. I technically kind of don't want Kevin Rooney, but we might see him back depending on what the coaching staff saw from Klapka tonight. But I think, like you said, pretty good game they played, technically only allowing Washington Capitals to score about 3 goals, and we'll talk about why. Logan Thompson, will talk about him in a bit as well.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of the switch ups with who's been brought up tonight. And I know that they sent Rory Cairns back down to prepare for the AHL All-Star game. So we won't be seeing him for at least a little while here back on the lineup. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on Klapka's performance tonight. I feel like by landing a penalty on your first game back into the NHL, being called up, and kind of almost knocking down the momentum of the team in a time where they really couldn't take that type of knock was a little just unexpected on his part, and he could have been more careful. I know that he definitely could have avoided that penalty, knocking Wilson down there. That could have been dangerous of a hit, and he was the one that was actually pretty angry about it in the end too for getting called on it. So I feel like definitely could have seen better behavior from Klapka tonight on the ice, maybe to aid Calgary a little better. I don't think that maybe what he did necessarily completely contributed to the outcome of the game, but I feel like it definitely did not help in any way. So yeah, I think that we're good, I think, on terms of talking about kind of how the game went today. We saw quite a few good plays. I think Lomberg had a breakaway, and I think we had, was it Kadri? Kadri was the other breakaway tonight.
Yeah, Kadri and Lomberg, they were fantastic in the first period. Of course, they couldn't convert, unfortunately. Once again, Logan Thompson, will talk about that name in just a few moments' time. But I think, he was the main reason that he kept Washington Capitals in.
Yeah, and I do think that we've been seeing a pattern the last few nights as well with the power play goals on Calgary's parts. That kind of seems to be when they get their opportunities, especially going towards these more difficult teams. But we know that Washington has a very good not only power play, but also penalty kill, some of the best in the league right now. So Calgary kind of had an even chance right then to, when they were in a penalty kill position or either a power play position against Washington. Even Huska, I think before the game tonight, acknowledged that Washington is pretty good on both parts of a penalty. So I think that Calgary at least still saw their chance to get a goal on a power play, which is something that they've been doing the last few games. with these difficult teams that they've been facing. And I think that we will have to see kind of how they perform now that they're home for the next 2 games against Anaheim and Detroit. So I think that will kind of get them a little more stable going into right before the break for the Four Nations face-off. So I think we can head into the second period if that's all we have on the performance.
I'll just quickly help you do a quick ad read.
Yeah.
So shift into hyperdrive and get ready to have some fun with a new source for all the biggest stories in hockey, bringing a new unique style of broadcasting and commentary with the Quebecois flavor. Hyperdrive Hockey combines top-tier hockey analysis, big stories, pop culture, and a damn fun atmosphere that will drive debate, make you think, and more. Join Max Van Hoot, Daphne Melabau, and Kevin Lemaire every Monday and Thursday for your fill in the hockey world. Watch it on YouTube on the Game Over Network channel, like you're doing right now, or subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Head to our website, thegameovernetwork.com, for more.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, guys, I'm newer to Game Over Network, so I'm kind of getting help getting into everything, and that's why I'm not doing the ad reads yet because I'm not quite used to the scripting on it. So thank you so much for doing that for me. But yeah, so second period, I think we should get into kind of more talking about the comparison between Thompson and Wolf. We definitely know that Wolf is a high-rising rookie right now and definitely been carrying Calgary in some places. And we know that Logan Thompson has had a pretty eventful last few, even just hours, I think in the last 48 hours, his contract coming up with Washington and kind of where he's at with the team right now. And I think we could talk about just kind of what really sets these two apart, but almost also connects them because they are both amazing goalies, but in their own ways. So I don't know if you want to give some thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was looking at Logan Thompson's hockey career. He started playing in the AJHL, which I kind of familiar with. I do color commentary for the Calgary Canucks. So he played actually goaltender a few years back for the Grand Prairie Storm. So they are one of the top teams in the North Division. They have had recent success. So I think building of that, Logan Thompson with his experience, now he's happy with the contract extension as well. I think that's the power that's motivating him. He's a local Calgary kid too, so I think his parents in sight today, I think they came over to the game as well. So with his parents in sight, I think that might have given a stronger strength. On the other hand, Dustin Wolf, once again, he carried the Flames throughout this game also. Most likely, like I said, maybe he would have had 1 or 2 goals back. But I think he also kept the Flames in the game. He made a couple of key saves. He robbed, I think, Ovechkin like 4 times, like we talked about earlier in the show. And Dustin Wolf is a rookie. He still has a lot of time. This is one of the consecutive starts he has got like recently. He might start again against Anaheim Ducks. We don't know just yet. Depends on what the coaching staff decides. But I think Dustin Wolf is NHL ready. I believe so. But there are some points like high shots that get him sometimes, and the low shots as well sometimes that get him. But I'm so impressed by both the goaltenders. One is a local Calgary product. One, Dustin Wolf, is from the US. So yeah, kind of fascinating to see how goalies work in the NHL. A lot of different unique and fun stories when it comes to it.
Yeah, I think that definitely looking into Logan Thompson and Wolf's performance, you kind of almost have to think how kind of the atmosphere of tonight's game played into both of their performances. We know Wolf plays a lot better on home ice, but Logan Thompson is obviously coming to a city that he knows well, and he's got his family backing him. I think on the broadcast tonight that I was listening to watching the game, I heard that he had over 20 family members in the stands tonight, and he definitely probably felt a warm welcome from some of the fans in the arena. I don't think anyone was definitely booing him too much if he made a save or anything because they know that he's one of their own. Looking exactly into Wolf and Thompson's stats, they each have 27 games played right now. Wolf with 18 wins, Thompson with 22, but both of them have 2 shutouts. So not too far off from one another. Wolf has a .916 save percentage, and Thompson has a .925. So right now, Thompson is amongst some of the leaders in the NHL in wins, save percentages, and is definitely kind of leading the race with some goalie statistics right now. Wolf not trailing too far behind. As I was mentioning before, Thompson is kind of fresh off of a pretty exciting contract. He just signed a 6-year contract with the Capitals for $35.1 million. Obviously, we know that Thompson's been in the NHL a few more years than Wolf has. Wolf's first year kind of getting all into everything. And kind of, to me, seeing how close their stats are in comparison to how many years Thompson has been in and then Dustin Wolf just starting, I think is pretty impressive and just shows almost how successful Wolf has been with the Flames this year. I know that we saw Vladar play, I think just Sunday he was in net, and we saw how that game turned out 5-2 for Winnipeg. Yes, Washington, Winnipeg is going to get messed up in my mind. But we know that Vladar is kind of, the backup right now. Dustin Wolf obviously starting, but Wolf still having a few weaknesses when it comes to performing on the road. So I kind of want to get maybe your thoughts on looking at kind of a game like this. Do we think that Wolf is going to be prepared, especially coming up to the break, to take on maybe some more away games to get used to maybe the potential of the Flames making it to the playoffs? Because yes, we still are in that second wildcard spot. Do you think that we should take this time to prep him for some more away games? Or do you think we should keep him and his confidence up by staying with these home games so he can get comfortable with his plays and how these teams perform?
Honestly, it's going to matter up on the schedule, first of all, because we have seen Dan Vladar start. So an example coming right now, especially this weekend, they're taking on the Detroit Red Wings at home and then back-to-back against Seattle on the road. So I'm guessing Dustin Wolf starts the home game. And then, unfortunate for Dan Vladar, on a back-to-back, on a road trip, I think Dan Vladar will start the one against Seattle. I know Dustin Wolf hasn't been great on the road, but somehow maybe the situation won't work that way. Of course, Wolf has now probably labeled himself as the 1A, the main starter. So I think the mindset of the Calgary Flames right now is he'll get the easier starts, kind of. So like the ones that's not on a back-to-back situation, one that's spread out, I think they'll ease his workload that way. And then when it comes to Dan Vladar, once again, like I said, unfortunate, but he'll get the tougher stats. We'll see how much stats he gets on the road. But especially since Dustin Wolf having a great record at home, I think we'll favor to see Dustin Wolf get more stats at home compared to the road. But we'll see how they tend to.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Wolf, not only is his weakness definitely playing some of those road games, but I noticed tonight, in comparison to a goalie like Thompson, Dustin Wolf is not as good at defending those breakaway chances. I noticed he does obviously do a lot better, like any other goalie, when he has the whole defense around him. But I know that on the broadcast I was listening to as well, they were saying that kind of one of Thompson's specialties is actually his ability to defend those breakaway chances, as we saw once again from Kadri and Lundberg tonight. Back-to-back saves for breakaways is kind of insane. Good on Logan Thompson, but that might also contribute to just how big he is in net versus how small Wolf is. Obviously, you can't move around super quick when you're one-on-one with a player, but if you have enough time with your defending team, that's when you can make those decisions and adjust where you need to be in the net. And I think that's where the one weakness going into the playoffs could be for Wolf, is the fact that those breakaway chances just seem to catch him, like we saw at the end of the game tonight. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he has robbed players on breakaway chances. He's capable of doing that. We saw a couple games ago him robbing a beautiful breakaway. I think it just depends on how the breakaway is. Like today, Washington Capital was really fast. They have pace. They're a great teammate. They'll connect passes as well. So on those surprising well connected passes, maybe it might beat Wolf. But if Wolf knows where it's gonna end up, if he knows he's able to track that puck, I think he can make a save. So it depends on how fast the puck is moved, how fast the pass is connected, and what team is playing. Of course, Washington Capital, like I said, a little bit of more connected team. They're the first team in the NHL overall, and also they know how to play, they know how to connect, and they're being brilliant so far this season. So I think that's one factor. But there are some teams that don't really connect the passes well. They like get the lucky breakaway. So Dustin Wolf can plan, but that 2-on-0 breakaway we saw today, that was quick and fast. It was moving from side to side. So I think that plays into a factor if Dustin Wolf is able to stop it or not.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out, and see kind of if we notice some things that Wolf does differently going into some of these more high pressure situations, or if Heska starts maybe starting him a little more often on the road to see how he performs. I know that the Calder Trophy is definitely in question, so maybe the team is trying to help him out by giving him some of those easier stats to help him out in that kind of race for that Calder Trophy and get those nominations in. So I feel like now is a good time to head into the third period. I'll grab that graphic over. Perfect. And I've noticed that our chat is not very active, so I don't know. Really heading into our overtime period, might just maybe choose a random topic to maybe cover, see if anything pops up while we're doing our stream here. But I feel like in the third period here, I want to head back to the players that were brought up from the AHL tonight to help out the Flames lineup. We got, sorry, I got their names. We've got, let me look at the lineup again.
Tyson Barrie and
Yeah.
Adam Klapka.
Yeah, Barrie and Klapka. I am like the worst with names. Once I'm starting to get a little more into Game Over Network, you will notice my pronunciations, and I get so mixed up, like Kadri, Klapka, like for some reason those things are gonna mix in my head, just like earlier when it was Washington and Winnipeg getting mixed up in my head. It's, you guys are gonna have to bear with me. But yeah, so we saw Klapka and Barrie get called up from the AHL to kind of help out the Flames lineup here tonight. I don't know if they participated in the morning skate, but I do know that they came up. Rory Cairns went down. We have Bean still on the lineup on the defense end of things, and we just see honestly a big shuffle of things going on the Calgary lineup. It feels like there's a new lineup almost every game right now, especially with the injuries. We're hoping to see Ball back, obviously. I know that would make Anderson very happy. But yeah, I guess we could talk about the overall performance of these players, Barrie and Klapka, tonight on the ice. I know we kind of covered a little bit about what Klapka was doing, especially penalty-wise, but I know Barrie didn't actually have that bad of a night either. So is there anything you want to say kind of about their performance and how they kind of did making their way back to the NHL tonight?
Yeah, before that, I'll just do a quick ad read. If you're enjoying the show so far, you probably want more of this, right? So hit the chat down below. We'll answer your questions. So don't forget that, and we'll make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends as well, so you can get more content like this. We'll dissect almost every game of Game Over Calgary. And if you're listening to our podcast, please give us a 5-star rating or even write a positive review. And if you really like us, and make sure to follow on our favorite social media platforms. I am available at cgyboy_Anand. I know, Ruby, you have Instagram, so be sure to follow us. Game Over Network on Blue Sky at the gameovernetwork.com, on TikTok and Twitter at Game Over NHL, or on Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn at the Game Over Network. And you can also find us at the gameovernetwork.com, where you can sign up for our upcoming newsletter. All right, back to the topic. Tyson Barrie and Adam Klapka. So, how they played tonight, Tyson Barrie, I was pretty impressed with, like I said at the beginning of the show, kind of thing. He had a shot on goal that hit the crossbar, unfortunately. Could have tied the game as well. He had a couple other shots on net as well. He played decently, kept the puck a couple of times within the blue line. On the other hand, we talked about Klapka, not a big fan of his game tonight, especially taking that Tom Wilson cross-checking very towards the end of the game, which was not necessary. I know he's a big man. He likes hitting around people, but was that necessary? No. So I think a mix of reasons, and we are seeing, like you said, changes in lineups almost every night, and that even every game also. Like if you go into a game, you get shuffled. I think for a bit, Huberdeau, Kadri, and so Pelche got demoted down somewhere, and then Kuzmenko slotted in that line. So I think Ryan Huska, I must give credit to him. He will demote and promote any player who he thinks played well tonight. I think Kuzmenko had a decent game. Especially we didn't know what his future is going to be, but he has been turning it around recently as well. So I think, yeah, you will expect these lineup changes coming in, especially you didn't know what the Calgary Flames identity was coming into this season. Like you didn't know if they were going to be a multi goal scoring team. We didn't know if they will be great defensive. Like you said, Kevin Ball, Rasmus Anderson would be missing him as a deep partner. Hopefully, he's back soon. So I think that question that we didn't know how to answer, I think that will change. It will remain the same way each night, because we don't know what works well. You don't have maybe the consistency, especially from Andrei Kuzmenko, and that consistency then becomes a problem. Where do you put him? Like, so you'll see these constant lineup changes, I believe. Connor Zary, who got injured from that knee on knee against Anaheim Ducks, I think he's closer to returning as well. So you'll see a change when that comes. Ruby, you talked about Rory Kerins, who is with the AHL All-Star. He's going to play this weekend. Maybe we'll see him back after the AHL All-Star break. So, yeah, I don't think we'll see a consistent lineup like all other teams do in the near future. It's going to change dynamically.
Yeah, I definitely think that with how much the lineup is changing, usually if you're seeing that with your team, you're a little nervous, you're a little scared that each game something could go wrong. But I feel like in this instance, looking at it in terms of Calgary, whenever they switch up their lineup, it always seems to work out somehow, and I never see too big of a flaw in gameplay. I know that a lot of the players on the team have a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of chemistry from being teammates, whether it's from the AHL, from other teams that they played on. And I think the Flames has been doing a very good job at not only noticing what players work well together, but like as you said, being able to demote or promote players based on their performance, and that almost seeming like a norm for the team. So maybe it doesn't knock down the players as much as it would if you had a coach that wanted to strictly keep their lineup positions as much as possible. Kind of getting into some of the stats and everything behind Barrie, I know that in the the AHL, this past weekend, he kind of performed pretty well. He had a 3-point weekend, 1 goal, 2 assists in 2 games. So that was quite the good, I think, preparation for him to be heading into now the NHL coming up this week, coming off of a weekend that was so successful for him. Like you said, I don't think that he had played a game since November 12th, was it? So seeing him tonight, he got a point assist on Coleman's goal there. That was probably very ecstatic for him. He was probably waiting a long time to return to the NHL to make some sort of notice for himself and maybe get his name back in the lineup a little more than just being brought up and sent back down. You can definitely see when these young guys come to the team, they are trying to make an impression so that they do maybe get granted a more permanent spot when it comes to especially playoffs. And I know I've mentioned it before in other shows. Calgary is an aggressive team. We know this. And going into the playoffs, they're going to be faced with even more aggressive teams in a more aggressive scenario where you're going to take a lot more injuries. You're going to have players that are maybe even playing hurt or being knocked out completely. So I feel like these young players are getting the perfect chance right now to get a feel for the dynamic of the team so that they are potentially prepared to be brought up in a very dire last-minute situation. Like you were mentioning as well, Klapka's performance tonight, I felt like the team definitely had high hopes for bringing him up. He hasn't disappointed down in the AHL, and he's obviously quite a big guy. He was going to probably prove well as a player on the team, whether it be skating fast or being good at blocking shots or getting in the way of other players. But then when we saw him take these penalties that were really just uncalled for, like I mentioned also in other shows, that Calgary seems to be a very momentum-based team, and they when they get going, they can go for a long time and they can just keep getting better. But as soon as something interrupts it, whether it's getting scored on, whether it's taking a penalty, they just seem to take a really big hit. And I feel like all the players kind of must acknowledge that at this point, because it seems to be almost every game that you see this drop-off in energy when they're taking too many hits or taking too many goals against or penalties. So I feel like when you come out and you're coming out from the AHL and you're trying to make a good impression, this was not the way to do it tonight. And if it was like a tripping penalty or something that obviously even the crowd themselves might not completely agree with, okay, what are you to do? But this one was definitely avoidable, not unavoidable. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say kind of on the performance of Barrie and Klapka tonight.
Yeah, one point on Tyson Berry. I don't know how much longer he will stay on the defense pairing yet once again. I know he didn't play since November 12th. Then he agreed to go for the AHL conditioning stint. Like you said, 3 points in the weekend. One of them was a power play goal. So I think with the absence of Kevin Ball, they trusted maybe he could do something on the power play. He did tonight. He got the assist on that Coleman goal. But I just wonder now. I think when Kevin Ball returns, it will be back to that situation yet once again, carrying 8 defensemen. And I think most Flames fans, if you're watching right now, you might agree with me. Carrying 8 defensemen is too much. So I wonder what the plan next is for defensemen. Now we'll have Kevin Ball back. He'll get paired with Anderson soon. Viger. Oh yeah, another person, Daniel Mermano, who didn't even play tonight because he made couple mistakes against the Jets. What's his plan gonna be? So we have now Kevin Ball, we have Rasmus Anderson. I think those two are locked. I think Viger will get I think Viger will get Hanley back, and then Bean and Pahal, they will stay together. So now it leaves again you are Daniel Maramano and Tyson Berry. Again, you have 8 defensemen back. So my thought process is I don't know how much longer Barry will play again. I think he might go back into sitting from what I see. Unfortunate. And then Daniel Maramano. So at this point, some Flames fans will ask, why did we sign Tyson Barry? Of course, he wanted somewhere to play, but is there a place for him to play now? I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But I think we just have a logjam on the defense line right now. So it will be, so Barry will need to maybe show that he's capable of playing stronger minutes and he's able to continue this performance. Maybe then he gets a chance. But I don't see right now a spot for Miramano or Barry either.
Yeah, I think it's just really up in the air for the Flames lineup right now, and I know that Huska is just trying everything he can to explore different pairings and different lines with these injuries. He kind of almost makes an opportunity out of injuries from players to see what potential, I guess, NHL players in the lineup coming from AHL could do for his team, especially with the shuffling around of these AHL players lately. I guess it might be like a little fight to see who stays up and who's sent back down, kind of thing. So I think that's where, yeah, it is very important for each of them to take their opportunity as seriously as possible when they do get this chance. But yeah, I agree. I think that we're going to see some players go back down. Barry, I think, is for sure probably going back down, especially when he did take that conditioning contract to the AHL. But yeah, I think that we could potentially head into maybe a new topic or just the overtime period here. Obviously, nobody, I think, in the chat right now. So I feel like one thing we haven't talked about is the Mangiapane return to Calgary. So we know that he came to Calgary after being traded last summer for a second round pick from Calgary to Washington. So this is his first game back to Calgary since being traded after spending the better half of a decade living in Calgary and playing for the team. So I heard at the start of the game tonight that they actually did play a video tribute for Mangiapane. I don't know if you have any thoughts on kind of what you think he was trying to accomplish going into the game tonight against his old team. I noticed a few things myself about kind of what I felt like he was striving for. And I definitely did see a little between period interviews with some of his teammates that kind of confirmed where his thought process was going up against Calgary tonight. So do you have any thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, before that, I think I just saw a question come up on the chat. We'll
Okay.
answer that because a viewer is hanging around. Overtime question. Speaking of lineups, what have been your favorite line combos so far this season, minus Wolf and Nat, of course? Maybe Robbie, if you want to answer that quickly, and then I'll take my spin, and then I'll answer your Manjapani question as well.
I'd have to say with the kind of injury of Ball right now, it's definitely making me appreciate the defense pairing of Ball and Anderson. I miss them coming into these last few games. I almost feel like Anderson looks out of place without him. So I'd say that's one of my favorites. But season wise, I really did enjoy it. I was a big fan. I forget who else was on the lineup with them, but when Pelche and Rory Cairns were on the same lineup, coming from being teammates in the AHL, I felt that that night was just amazing for the both of them. It was a breakout night for Pelche for sure, and definitely Rory Cairns assisting him with 2 goals in their first period together. I forget how many seconds it was, but Cairns scored like almost immediately during his first shift, or not scored, got an assist immediately in his first shift with Pelche there. So that was definitely my favorite lineup combination so far this year. I guess we have another question there. So with
Yeah,
back-to-back, yeah. Oh, yeah, with
good.
back-to-back losses against top teams, what do you want to see from the Flames against a weaker team like the Ducks on Thursday? Do you want to take a first jab at that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll answer that quick question from Lil first. So the game you were talking about, Ruby, was against the Chicago Blackhawks. First ever game for Rory Cairns. He had 2 assists right away, so and that brought him to a total of like 4 assists in like 5 games, so 4 points in 5 games, which is really good, especially because he hasn't played a whole pro season in the AHL. He came from the ECHL and great work. So yeah, I like that line between Rory Cairns and Sharangovich and Pelche, their connection. I've recently liked Huberto Khadri and Pelche too. They work really well just because of course, there is that joke out there that Huberto is the son of Peltier, no, dad of Peltier, so the son and dad combination. So there is that fun. So hopefully that answers your question, Lil. Now going to Brandon's question. With the back-to-back losses against top teams, what do you want to see from the Flames against a weaker team? Of course, we know. So this was historic. Last season, usually you see the Flames beating top teams and then struggling against lower teams. I don't see that this season, especially since we defeated the San Jose Sharks 3-0 in their series. So I have a little nice confidence that the Flames will be able to beat the Ducks. Of course, there will be that revenge on the Connor Zary knee on knee. We'll see how much that plays into a factor on Thursday. I want to see Dustin Wolf start again if possible. I think he definitely understood despite the loss, and then save Dan Vladar for Seattle. Once again, like I said, um, unfortunate. Another thing, I don't know if now is the point to send Klapka down and then maybe bring up like a Dryden Hunt or a William Stromgren. They have a little bit more upside of offense, and we need that, especially against a lower ranked team. Get like the five or six goals you got against the Chicago Blackhawks. If they can do that, I think they'll well versed. So yeah, couple changes in the lineup and then start Dustin Wolf. I think you have a recipe for success. What about you, Ruby?
I agree. I think that we need to see a change in the lineup, and I feel like I do want to see Wolf in net for this game again. I know that in the past, the Flames have had a history of playing down to the team that they are going up against. So they almost play at the same level rather than trying their absolute hardest like they would against a team that's harder. And I almost noticed that going period to period in even games against harder teams. If they notice that they are up by what they kind of perceive as like a comfortable amount, they kind of let off and they kind of coast until they have to worry again, which I don't think is the best strategy going into these games. So I kind of want to see them pick up the energy a bit more going up against the Ducks and see if they actually can keep a high level of energy in the full 60 minutes of play, so that it's not inconsistent amongst the team and amongst each period. Because the Ducks being a lower level team right now, they definitely have the ability to use all their energy in a way that's going to let them know that they can do similar things when actually posing a threat against a team that's going to potentially score more on them. I would also really like to see the Flames maybe taking the play off the boards a little bit and seeing how well they can do playing a little bit more in the open ice and see if they can connect some more shots, make some longer stretch passes, just to see kind of what kind of formations they can create and maybe new scoring opportunities around the net, especially with these new players on the lineup. You want to see what they can do, and maybe they can help you fix some of these things that you've been lacking for the rest of the season. So I think this is a nice time to see what kind of new strategies they can come up with so that they can maybe potentially surprise Winnipeg if it's still Winnipeg when we go into the first round of the playoffs if we're still in this wild card spot.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I think Vancouver closed the gap on us with 1 point, and Vancouver is playing tomorrow. So we'll see if we still hold that wildcard spot come tomorrow. Of course, if you're a pro playoff hockey fan, you want Vancouver to lose and extend that gap again. But with the drama happening in Vancouver, as most fans know, we'll see if they're able to get it done. But I think I liked your point, Ruby. Especially, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the dump and chase puck play that the Flames do. I think they need to just outstretch those passes, keep it in the center of the ice. I think we have seen too many dump and chase moves, which I think cost games as well. And then don't take offensive zone penalties as well. We have seen that quite a bit this season too. And that kills momentum. I think I'll go back to your point of killing momentum. There was that one penalty where Martin Pospisil, he has taken a couple of offensive zone penalties. Andrei Kuzmenko, he had an unfortunate one. I won't blame him too much, but playing that broken stick, playing the puck, playing with a broken stick, there was one penalty he took. So yeah, I think if the Flames can work on these minor things, I think you have a recipe for success.
Yeah, and I also kind of want to expand on the kind of unnecessary penalty topic here. I know tonight we had, I forget who got the penalty, but it was covering the puck penalty, which I know,
Oh yeah.
like, and we almost had and I know the play was stopped for a hand pass as well. So, like, just things like that, minor things that's like, come on, guys. And I know for the past 2 games, we have had issues with too many men. We got one penalty, and then the other time it was just whistled for, but thankfully it didn't go to penalty. Just things like that. Just pay attention. I feel like these are definitely avoidable penalties that they're almost getting a little too comfortable with. I kind of found it a little funny when the Capitals got a too many men penalty tonight, because I was like, oh, finally it's not us. Like, for the last few games, it's been a little problematic seeing just like, how do you, like, I don't know. I just don't know, understand why we kept doing it. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but
Yeah, I think yeah, it's always good to see when the other team gets called for penalties, especially with the officiating being a little rough this season. Especially the Kevin Ball hit. It was originally called a 5 minute on the ice, and then they reviewed it and changed it to a 2 minute. Of course, Kevin Ball was injured. They should have kept it a 5 minute, and maybe NHL players have be reaching out to the player. I don't remember now who the Minnesota player was, but I think NHL player safety should have. Even I think they missed a high stick at one point in the season, so it's good to see when the other teams get called. But we have seen a fair share of missed calls as well, or plays the calls that don't really make sense as well.
I agree. But yeah, I guess we could maybe go back to Mangiapane for at least a little bit, just a quick little blurb about him. I know before we went back into the questions, which of course, if you guys have any more questions, just go ahead and put them in while we talk about this. Mangiapane, back to the Flames, we already covered. Tonight, seeing how he was playing, I definitely think he was gunning for a goal against Calgary. I don't know if you feel the same, but he did have quite a few shot attempts on net, and I could almost see him getting frustrated when he wasn't quite connecting those shots. I felt like it was more of an emotional goal than it was just winning for the team and for his own stats. I don't know if you feel the same or if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think his trip to Calgary was an emotional one altogether. I think yesterday they landed in Calgary, and then his son and family spent time at Rasmus Anderson's house. So there might have been that emotional factor. Then he, I think, tripped down Anderson as well, which ended him up in the box. So I think, yeah, there was a bit of emotional frustration, if you want to call it. I think that's the right term for it. Yeah, there was a bit of factor. Of course, Ovechkin tried, Manjupani tried. I think they just couldn't solve Wolf. But the other 3 goals, once again, maybe Dustin Wolf would have liked to have back. But unfortunate small mistakes here and there. But I think, yeah, Manjupani was really gunning for the net. Like you said, and he had a couple chances like Ovechkin did as well.
Yeah, I can't imagine how Mangiapane felt tonight, especially with how successful the Flames have been with a goalie like Wolf and just how they've been doing this season so far. To have lost the chance to be a part of a season this amazing is definitely got to be something that hurts to come back and see, especially when you don't score against the team or you don't get any points like he was looking for. But I think that it was definitely nice to see him back in the arena. The fans were probably very happy to see him. And I think that it was amazing that the Flames went ahead and did a video tribute to him at the start of the game. just acknowledging all he's done for the team, regardless or not if he's a part of it anymore. I know the Flames have always done a good job at thanking people that have been part of their organization, and that might just be simply because we're a good old Canadian team, or maybe it's just because we almost feel bad when we let people go. But I think we've covered lots of things today. It was an eventful game. There was a lot of almost different little side factors playing into the game tonight. But I'm excited to see going forward when we go up against Washington again at the Capitals Arena. I think it's February 25th is the next game in the series.
Yeah, that's correct. February 25th. It's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. Park Rock. Maybe I'll take this quick opportunity to give you fans watching a quick look ahead schedule. What's up next for the Flames? You can decide if you want to give us some score predictions or your thoughts. Put them in the chat. But coming up next is on Thursday against the Anaheim Ducks. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop Mountain Time, so that's 7 p.m. Calgary time or 9 p.m. Eastern time. Matt DeMille will have that post-game show. Then I'm back hosting on this Saturday against the Detroit Red Wings. We talked about this. Another home game. I'll maybe have a guest on board. I'll see. I'm working on confirming that. And then Ruby, you are back again when the back-to-back happens in Seattle on Sunday, February 2nd. Ruby and Matt will have that post-game show. And then after that, the Maple Leafs are in town on February 4th. So a lot of home games coming up for the Calgary Flames. So we'll see how exciting it will look. Obviously, we hope to weather the storm, but things will get exciting as we move forward in the schedule.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of cutting down to the wire. It almost feels like, even though we still have a little bit of time before it's that final race, but I know that we always hope that Calgary makes moves sooner rather than later, as we've seen in the past, where it seems like they almost let go until they actually do need to fight for it again. So yeah, I think that's covered everything. Thank you for joining me on the show today. And I'm sorry, guys, for everything with the technical difficulties. Like I said, this is my second time hosting. I'm figuring things out, but I'm trying my very best. And there's a lot more that goes into these shows than just chatting about hockey and having fun. So thank you for joining me as a guest today. It was super fun talking with you. You can follow me at on Instagram at ruby.zummack. Zummack spelled Zummack, a little bit of a difficult last name. I think you already gave your Instagram, but if you want to say it again or your other socials, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or X, or LinkedIn even. You can search up CGY_Anand. That's where I can be found. I'll also do one final quick ad read before we let you all go. What better way to support something you love than by wrapping it on yourself? We unfortunately don't have the images today. Like we said, Ruby's just getting set up. But we have new apparel, unique line. So we have a hoodie. That's the established design. We have the goalie design as well. Leave and die by your goalie design. And then we also have a coffee and a coffee mug and a toque as well. That's all available on GameOver Network.com website. So head over there. And then it's designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Kudos to him, great designer. And then use a QR code. We'll have it on the next stream for you. And take a look through our apparel store. And if you can help us build local sports media in Canada while repping your community.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and make sure you go watch the upcoming live streams of Game Over Network for the next Flames games. So we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good night. Take care.